the system favors the rich, and I think it's pretty obvious that the system favors the rich because they have the power to pay off their politicians and get what they want, either through lobbying or donations to candidates in elections. And I was wondering what specific reforms you would advance to end the corrupting influence of money in politics?
Yeah, well, money's going to be in politics forever. Here's why. We have a continental country with 330 million people that if you're running for president of the United States, you have to try to communicate to all of them. And that's never going to be cheap. Second, I'm not in favor of the newspapers, the TV stations, whatever, giving us that advertising for free. Okay? This is a free enterprise system, and they should be able to make profit that's fair and reasonable, just like everybody else. So we're going to have money in politics. So here's what I think we should do. Everything we've stabbed at with campaign finance reform hasn't worked. And here's why. Because the underlying premise of all those things was that somehow you could limit money from politics. So for instance, I'm running for President of the United States right now. I raise money to run a national campaign at a maximum of $2,700 per person. Do you know how many people you need to give you $2,700? So start doing the math. If a week's worth of television in New Hampshire, just New Hampshire, costs $1 million, think about how many people have to write you a $2,700 check just to pay for 1 week of television in New Hampshire. Now, my point to you is, every one of these laws on campaign finance is written by lawyers, and then the lawyers figure out how to get around the law after they write it. So for instance, in this campaign, my campaign's raising money at that small amount, but you know what? Every one of our candidates for president has a super PAC that they don't run or control, but that are run by people who support them, who can accept money in unlimited amounts, and who can't talk to the candidate about what they're going to do with the money, because that's against the law. So you'll see an ad from whether it's my super PAC or Marco's super PAC or Jed's super PAC, and maybe you won't like the ad. And then you'll come to one of my town hall meetings and you'll say, Governor, I saw this ad from the America Leads group that's supporting you and I think it's awful and I'd like you to change it. And I have to look at you and say, I'm sorry, I can't, because it would be illegal for me to have any influence or control over that. How ridiculous is this? Here's what I think we should do. Get rid of the limits completely. Let anybody donate any amount of money they want to any candidate, but in return, it has to be disclosed 24 hours later on the internet. So that everybody knows. You can go on a computer, go to my website, there's going to be a section on contributions, and you can see how much money each person gave to me, and when they gave it to me. And then you can compare to see if, like, all of a sudden I got a ton of money from one industry, and then all of a sudden my views are starting to change on that industry to favor them. Well, then you can draw whatever inference from that you want about me. I think the corrupting influence of politics, as you put it in your question, of money in politics, is solved by disclosure. Because then you know and you can make an informed choice. Right now, you can't, not only, forget about it, the super PACs at least reveal who's donating. Then you have 501c4 groups that don't even have to reveal who's donated to them. So you don't even know who took the money. And you don't know who's writing the ads. All you know is it's not the candidate. This is the worst of the systems that we can have. It's minimal amount of transparency and minimal amount of accountability by the people who they're advocating for. So if all the money's given to me, then I run all the ads, then if you don't like the ad and you say I don't like that ad, I gotta defend it. If I don't control it, it's gonna look at you and say, sorry, nothing I can do about it. So I think that that's the best way to go about this. And the best example of how it really messes up our politics is, you all remember Steve Forbes. Steve's from my state, and Steve desperately wanted Jack Kemp to run for president. He loved Jack Kemp, he believed in Jack Kemp, he wanted Jack Kemp to be president. He said, Jack, you run for president, I'll finance your entire campaign. I'm a rich guy, I'll pay for it. He finds out the laws don't permit him to do that, but what the laws do permit him to do, he spends as much money as he wants on himself. So now Steve Forbes runs for president twice, and if Steve were here today, he'd tell you he would have never run for president, but if he could have given the money to Jack Kemp. But the laws didn't permit him to do that. So what are we doing? It's okay to spend it on yourself, but it's not okay to spend it on somebody else. It doesn't make any sense. So I agree with your premise of your question, which is we got to do something about this system. But my solution to the system is, let's stop trying to play games. Let's be honest about it. Make the candidate accountable for every dollar he or she collects, And then you can make them accountable for every action they take and every word that comes out of their mouth on behalf of their candidacy. And I think we've got a better chance. Is something to follow up?
Yeah, just a quick follow-up is, do you think corporations and unions should have the same rights to donate as individuals?
Sure, I think anybody should be able to. Everybody in this country has a right to try to influence the political process. And the question is, are you going to be good enough as a candidate to be a professional ingrate? Because that's what you need to be as a candidate. You have to take people's money, and then if they ask you to do something that you don't agree with, you got to be able to say no to them. And that's what you have to do. It's hard. It's hard, but you got to do it. Because if you don't, then you sell your soul. And mine's not for sale. So.
Thank you.